Welcome to my coaching journey. We are joined today by Dr. Travis Ring from Eastern Oklahoma Chiropractic. Travis, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. So tell us a little bit about your business.
So, as you mentioned, I run Eastern Oklahoma Chiropractic. We're a sole practitioner chiropractic office located in Broken Arrow. We've been in practice for 12 years, started in 2010. The first 5 years I spent in an office in Tulsa. And then once we got rooted in Broken Arrow, I saw the necessity to move to Broken Arrow as far as the practice goes. So we moved out here in August of 2015. I've been treating patients ever since. We care for patients from infant children through older children, adolescents, adulthood, and then to the elderly as well. And I look forward to many, many more years treating patients.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. And you've told me some things I had no idea about chiropractic. Things like for TMJ and for kids with ear infections. Just really interesting how far chiropractic can go that people don't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally people think of chiropractic, they think of things like back pain and neck pain and headaches, and for good reason, because we're really good with those. But, when we make an adjustment to patient, we're treating the nervous system as well. And so all the organs, all the systems, all the functions are controlled by the nervous system. So things like indigestion, respiratory issues, heart issues, reproduction, those are all nervous system driven organs. And so when that nervous system is in stress or it's not working properly, that's going to affect how those organs function as well. So beyond just pain relief, we take care of other things as well.
So not just for a stiff back. You heard it here, folks. So what made you decide to go into being a chiropractor?
Yeah. So growing up, I was always geared towards math and science, and I've always had, I think, an affinity to help people. So in high school and college, I was, playing sports, and so I thought, medicine was always kind of the direction that I would go. I wasn't quite sure what that looked like from a specificity standpoint, what industry I was going to go into, but, being an athlete, I thought, well, maybe sports medicine, doing things in orthopedics or whatnot. I got into college and I was playing baseball, kind of kicking around different ideas, and actually sustained a back injury myself, which landed me in a chiropractic office.
Okay.
So I kind of joke around. I say, I think chiropractic found me as much as I found it.
Okay.
So I went into the office, I got evaluated and treated and had great success. And so I thought, well, this is where I'm going to be. I want to go into chiropractic. And so I actually followed in the same footsteps of the guy that I went to, the same school. And I had envisioned, coming back and maybe working with him. But when I was through with school, the situation wasn't there. And so thankfully I was able to go out on my own from the start. And I'm happy.
So you were on your own from the very start?
Yeah, from the beginning. I think in my class, I think there was maybe half that went in with somebody else as an associate and half that went on their own. I think most of the ones who went in as associates ended up going off on their own at some point. Right. So I felt like while there were some anxious moments in the beginning, and there still are from time to time, that I think that was the right move to do that for sure, because I feel like I was ahead of the game as far as getting on my own start.
So what was the motivation? Because there's a big difference in having that kind of that safety net of knowing that the paycheck's going to come in every couple of weeks or every month by being an employee versus, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try this on my own. So what was the motivation behind saying, I'm going to go be my own owner here?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, the doctor that I got treated from, I thought, well, I'd go back and work for him. But when that situation wasn't there was no one else I wanted to turn to. And so I thought, there's nobody else to bet on except myself. And so I had the resources available to be able to kind of start on my own. I found a good spot to start with as far as location. And so I thought, there's no better time than now to go off on my own. And, I've always been a competitive person. And so, the drive to kind of do things on my own and kind of make my own way, that was really enticing for me.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, and I hear that from a lot of business owners. It's about the freedom. It's about the potential for the financial freedom. It's the time freedom. It's the freedom to decide who you work with and who doesn't work with you. So,
and I thought if the long run was to be, self-employed, why not just start from the start?
Yeah, absolutely. Begin with the end in mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been in business for, you said 12 years. So obviously a lot of really cool things have happened to you over that time frame. What would you say are some of the things you're most proud of achieving as a business owner?
I mean, I think the countless patients that we've been able to help, I think it's the biggest thing for me, because I get into this and I've, day in and day out, my goal is to help people, get back to the speed of life and feel great and live pain-free. And so I think the biggest thing is just working through, some tricky cases with patients and kind of giving their freedom and their life back. Apart from that, I've won some awards along the way. Broken Chamber of Commerce member, and I was actually fortunate enough to win the 2020 Business of the Year, Business Person of the
Wow.
Year through the Chamber of Commerce. So that was a big
Congratulations.
award.
Yeah.
Got a nice little trophy sitting in the office.
Very nice.
But I think the biggest thing is just so many small businesses don't make it, and so I think a big thing for me is just survival in the beginning. Getting through the
Right.
first few years, and now we're thriving and growing, and looking to expand. It's exciting times.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because that's happened. That fact has been brought up in multiple of these conversations that a lot of small businesses just don't make it. So it's really cool that you had the ability and the willingness to bet on yourself, and that you're where you are now.
I think there's a lot of passion involved for sure. So I think businesses that don't succeed, I think, are ones that just kind of go through the motions. But I think if you're really invested and you're passionate about what it is you're doing, I think that drives a lot of success for sure.
So you got a successful practice, continuing to grow, more and more patients coming. Um, what was kind of the thought process, or what led you to investigate or look into business coaching?
Yeah. So I think far too often people think of coaching, whether it's business coaching or life coaching or athletics, as you need a coach when you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was a situation where I felt like there was opportunities that I was missing,
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't reaching kind of that full potential. And I had a situation where the resources were available, and I felt like it was time to invest some of those back into myself.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about investments, investing in the stock market or the real estate, but the biggest thing you can invest in, I think, is yourself. And so for me, it was just, reinvesting some time and dollars into myself to maximize my business potential.
So, and what were some of the things that you were hoping to accomplish as a part of that relationship? Because we've been together now for, I guess it's been about a year and a half.
Yeah, a little over a year for sure.
Yeah. So what were some of the things you were hoping to accomplish?
Well, you'll say it a lot. Are you working in your business or are you working on your business? And I think I kind of fell into the trap where I was always in the business. Of course, as the provider, I have to be in the business. But I think apart from my office hours, I was kind of just going through the motions. I wasn't really being intentional with things that I should be doing as far as making contacts and setting up meetings and doing some outreach type stuff. So I think the biggest thing is just keeping me intentional with things that I should be doing outside the office to build an asset along the way, while also working in the business itself.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've achieved as a result of your time with coaching?
Well, last year was our best year in practice ever from a patient visit standpoint, from a collection standpoint. So I think it's just the ability to kind of see the future different than it was when we first started. Because when we first started, I felt like I would just kind of write off, for the next several years, decades of just treating patients. But through our conversations and kind of looking at what the future could hold, definitely kind of changed my focus. I still want to work in the office and I still want to treat patients, but now I see myself as building an office sooner than I thought I would, and bringing an associate potentially before I thought I would. Kind of growing in different areas, expanding the office, to a certain extent. And so I think the biggest thing is just, you've done well to motivate me and kind of push me in areas that I didn't see myself being able to accomplish as soon as I did.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. So what is the future of Eastern Oklahoma Chiropractic?
Yeah, well, just 2 weeks ago, we actually bought a commercial lot. So the plan is, to sit on that for a bit and then build a building that's going to house my office as well as some lease spaces. And the hope is that I can put people in those spaces that have, kind of congruent industries, whether it's, medical office or physical therapists, massage therapists, things like that.
Right.
Kind of build like a little chiropractic medical compounds that,
Nice.
to a certain
One-stop
extent.
shop for healthcare. I like it.
Yeah, and the way that my office is, built now, there's no room for me to have an associate unless it's at a time when I'm not in the office. And so, the hope is that we build a new office. It's going to have a second adjusting room so we can have an associate on staff so that whenever I want to go on vacation or got a kid's ball game, then they can cover, the patients when I'm not there. And then the hope is that, continuing to kind of work forward and grow, at some point, potentially kind of, push stuff off to them more and more and kind of step out myself. But again, I love what I do. And so the hope is that I'm always taking care of patients, and I, fully expect to do that. But just having that person on site that can kind of take care of the people when I'm not there, whenever I need to pull away a little bit.
Well, and it's interesting because when you start to bring people on, that's when you really can start to see the business continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. So I love that growth mindset that you have. What would you say working with a coach has meant to you and your business?
Well, like I mentioned, it was the best year in practice we've had, and so there's lots of factors there, but definitely coaching is probably the top of the list. So I think the biggest thing is just you've done well to keep me on track, to keep me accountable. In the beginning, there were some questions that you would ask, and I would almost get guarded and defensive because things that I haven't thought about before.
Right.
But as we've been in it for a while, I realized that those are questions that need to be asked, and those are areas that need to be investigated. And so you do a good job of keeping me on track and on task to do the things that need to be done and to be consistent and intentional with how I do things away from the office.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking about one of the sessions we had, and we were kind of thinking about the progress that the business had made, and the comment was made: boring is profitable.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes business owners forget that. It's like, if you've got something that's working, it's continuing to provide the results that you want. Why would you change it?
Right.
So we just test and measure and check and make sure it's still working
Yeah.
and keep on
Always
keeping
kind
on.
of fine tune things along the way, but I always wanted to try to find new and inventive ways to do things. But in the end, boring is profitable, and so I think more of the same.
So, what are some of the things that you've done in the practice that are maybe a little bit different or a little bit out of the box from what you had been doing prior to coaching?
Yeah. So a couple of things that we've done for sure is looking to really make connections with personal injury attorneys. We take care of a lot of auto accident cases, and so we created kind of some fun ways to send out some lumpy mail, as you call it, to them to make some connections, and we created attorney guarantees that spoke to things that was a struggle for them in their practice, things that they needed to have improved, with their provider relations. So we've been doing that. We also created some patient guarantees, things that we've always done in our office, but putting it in print, putting it on the website, definitely kept us accountable to keep those things on the forefront. So things like same day appointments, things like respecting people's time. I would say the biggest thing that people really hate to do is sit in the doctor's office all day.
Right.
So our goal is to make our treatment efficient and effective, get you in and out, treated effectively and on your way, so you can go about things that you need to be doing in your day, not sitting in the office. So we also really want to be transparent as far as patient care and finances. We just want to remove as many obstacles and barriers as possible so we can make that ease of access as strong as it can be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you had some good fun with those lumpy mails with the baby doll arms, and give my right arm to get a couple of minutes of your time. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, we got some good comments and some good calls, and people thought it was a very effective way to kind of grab their attention, which that was our goal.
Yep.
Is to grab their attention. So give my right arm to be a preferred referral partner with you. So they definitely have some fun with it. Attorneys got sense of humor usually, so I think that was kind of a good demographic to target with those.
Absolutely. So any offer or anything you'd like to make for anybody who's watching us here?
Yeah, well, we always have spots for new patients, and so I think the biggest thing is people who haven't experienced chiropractic. I think that there's definitely a need to at least see it in action. Sometimes people ask me, well, kind of explain chiropractic to me, and I can explain it, but ultimately I say, listen, in order to know what it is, you have to experience it.
Right.
So we do take insurance in our office, and we also have a lot of patients that are on self-pay. But we do have some new patient specials. Currently, we're running one where it's $29, which includes their first visit. So case history, consultation, examination. We'll take X-rays on most patients that aren't pregnant or that aren't really small children. I always say to not see is to guess, and we hate to guess about your health. So we'll often take X-rays, and then I like to give an adjustment on that first visit too, because patients are often coming in because they're in crisis mode, and I want to at least get the ball rolling in the right direction. So that's a good new patient special running currently.
That's a lot of good stuff for $29.
Yeah. Again, we're always trying to find ways to limit and remove obstacles and barriers to patients coming into the office.
And then refresh me on your motto or your logo.
Yeah, we help patients feel great, live pain-free, and maximize their health potential.
Awesome. Well, Travis, thanks for joining us today. Really was great just getting the chance to sit down and chat with you a little bit more about your business and your experience. And thank you all for joining us as well. We'll see you next time.